Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. Update 1.52 is here, and along with it is a brand new menu book called the Evolution Meeting, of course aimed at the Mitsubishi Evo line of vehicles. This will range from the 1995 Evo 3 all the way upwards to the 2015 Evo 10 final edition. So in this handy little guide, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of all three events and my final thoughts on it. However, before we do get into the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and turn your notifications on so you don't miss an upload. So let's get into it. We're going to head over to the Gran Turismo CAF. This is where we're going to see menu book number 51, the Evolution Meeting. So upon opening up the menu book, you can see the reward is a measly 4-star roulette ticket reward, but we do have 3 events along with this. We have Kyoto Driving Park on the full layout, that is going to give us stamp number 1. In Italy we have Monza, that will be stamp number 2, and of course finally Colorado Springs late layout for stamp number 3. So let's jump in to menu book number 51, the Evolution Meeting. So of course event number 1 is going to be at Kyoto Driving Park. This is going to be a 3-lap race. Now the rewards for completing this race isn't too bad, 70,000 credits without the clean race bonus. It's a 3-lap sprint race on the full layout of the track. There are going to be 12 cars including yourself. Of course, the regulations, it has to be a Mitsubishi Evo. It can be any generation whatsoever. As you can see, the rewards are 70k, 42k and 28k for the top 3 places. Your main rivals are going to be a mixture of Evos. BOP and tuning prohibited is off, must be a garage car settings are allowed, and there's of course going to be no penalties or damage. So let's get started with event number 1, and this is definitely going to be the hardest of the 3. Overall, the layout itself is fairly long, deceivingly so, and quite complex, so it's all about just trying to pick your opportunities to get those overtakes done. Now there's not too many cars on the grid, however it does seem to go back to that day 1 issue of having a very spread out grid. So just be aware that you may start overtaking quite a bit at the start, and then there'll be a huge gap in the sort of middle of the pack before you get yourself up into 2nd place, and then there's a huge gap once again to the main lead car. So it is quite strange that they've kind of gone back on their ways, something that disappeared recently, and just done this huge gap to gap to gap chase the rabbit style event. This was something that was sort of disappearing in some of the more recent events, but it's definitely back for the Evo meeting place. Now in terms of the car itself, you're definitely going to need something that does have some fairly decent upgrades to it. A lot of the Evos in this race are massively upgraded from standard. I first went into it with a standard Evo 8, of course that being the new vehicle, and quite quickly found out that that's definitely not the way you need to tackle it. You will need to strap up your Evo with some decent upgrades to be able to take on the AI themselves. Now in terms of the actual layout itself, most of your overtaking can be done in the sort of straighter, more quicker sections. I do find that the AI tends to go extremely slow through some of the very slow corners, more so than they should typically do, and then all of a sudden they can't get themselves going as quick as you can. So take advantage of that, get a good drive out of the corners and then pick them off one by one. As you can see, I took the lead towards the end of lap 2, giving me the final lap to sort of stretch my legs and sort of, really get that lead pulled out. In the end, we completed the 3 laps with around about a 7-second gap, and of course that is going to be event number 1 for this menu book done and dusted. We did it in a time of a 7-minute 37.265. Our fastest lap was on lap 2 with a 2-minute 30.976. So in terms of both of the tarmac events, it's 105,000 credits with that clean race bonus. It's the same for both Monza and Kyoto Driving Park, so not too bad for time spent to credits awarded. Now in terms of event number 1, I would certainly say this is the most difficult of the bunch, and I think it's just due to the layout itself. I am not the most confident driver at Kyoto Driving Park, and the full layout, especially in reverse, is deceivingly long. It can feel like forever to just do one single lap. In terms of overtaking the AI, they are incredibly slow through the slow sections, and that's where you want to get a good run out of the corners and just stop picking them off group by group and one by one. So let's head over to event number 2 for the menu book. This is going to be the Evolution meeting, this time at Monza. So a 4-lap sprint race this time. So we do have an extra lap on top, but in terms of the overall time, it is roughly the same as what we saw with Kyoto Driving Park. Once again, the reward is 70,000 credits for first place. So in terms of the event for this one, it's going to be a 4-lap sprint race. Once again, we do have 12 cars on the grid. The same regulations in terms of the cars must be an Evo, the same payouts, and the same main rival cars. Once again, we do have the shortcut and wall collision penalties off. So let's move into event number 2. This is actually going to be the final of the 2 tarmac events. Now overall, this is definitely the easiest event of the bunch. Monza is quite a wide open track, it's a very fast track, and again you're going to be able to take advantage of that top speed, especially if you've got some decent upgrades on. Now in terms of the AI's top speed, you're looking around about 150 to 160, so if you can exceed that and accelerate to it even faster, then you're going to absolutely blast through this grid no problem at all. And with just how easy it is to get overtakes done at Monza, considering it's quite wide open and quite a fast track overall, of course the tempo of speed, you shouldn't really have too much of an issue getting your way through that grid. There is a lot of opportunities here, as you can see there on the actual footage, just how inconsistent the AI is out of corners, so really take advantage of that and give yourself a good run for the really fast sections. Again, it's all about getting up to the top speed as fast as possible and topping out at just over 160 plus miles per hour. That is going to be the sweet spot to be able to get these overtakes done and dusted. Now in terms of the actual event itself, it really isn't too bad. Like I said, this is the easiest of the 3, and I don't think too many people will have too much of a problem really getting any overtakes done here. It's the exact same as event 1, but I would say overall worse in terms of the spread amongst the cars. You will notice that P1 will be way up the road in comparison to anything else, so just bear that in mind. The only real key issue I could see happening here for any player would definitely be turn 1 and turn 2. So the tight little chicane section is going to be an absolute nightmare, mainly because of how early the AI actually brake for it, meaning that by the time you actually do get behind them in turn 1 and turn 2, they are crawling through it and quite often will just kind of block you on the exit, so just be aware of that. So as you can see, we got ourselves into P2 after only 2 laps, and this was the point where the AI was way up the road. It was just ridiculous how big that gap is, and it's going to continue to grow. Although the Evo itself really should be, made short work of, just be aware that if you aren't running some pretty decent upgrades, you are more than likely going to struggle to get that gap down even over the 4 laps, which is a pretty fair amount. Even in the end, I managed to build up a gap of 12.5 seconds to second place. So again, just ensure you are upgrading your Evo. As you can see, I came with a time of 7 minutes 38 seconds, 0.869, and a fastest lap on the final lap, lap 4, of a 1 minute 54. Now in terms of the actual payout, once again it stays in line with the other tarmac event, so 105k with that clean race bonus, and we're also going to get a daily driving marathon on top of that. So in terms of this event itself, definitely the easiest of the bunch. Like I said, just be aware that the spread is even worse during this event, so P1 will probably be way up the road by the time you do get to him, and turn 1 can be a little bit mischievous considering just how slow the AI are and how much they'll crawl through that section and then start blocking you on the exit. So just be aware of that, especially if you're trying to get that clean race bonus. So here we go for the 3rd and final event, quite a bit different this time. This is at Colorado Springs, of course a 4-lap dirt rally event. 72k in terms of the payout, so you can squeeze out another 4,000 credits, and then more than usual. Once again, we do have the same regulations, of course different payouts, and the rival cars actually do remain the same. However, of course they're going to be running dirt tires, which you must run to enter this event. Now honestly, I would just grab yourself a second Evo so you don't ruin the sort of tarmac build you've gone for. That's exactly what I did here. You want to raise up the suspension so that you've got enough ground clearance and you can land the jump safely. Colorado Springs notorious for a lot of the bumps being quite awkward to land and they'll throw your car about. Of course, thankfully we do have improved physics since 1.49, so dirt driving is much better than it ever was before that update, so it is more consistent overall, but that won't necessarily stop you from, you know, clattering a jump even in the slightest wrong way, and it'll just kind of send you flying. So as long as you're competent on the dirt, and of course as long as you've got your car tuned correctly, that being, you know, a decent spongy suspension that can, you know, absorb those bumps, and of course a shorter gear ratio considering the actual layout of Colorado Springs, then you shouldn't have too much of a problem here. However, you will notice that once again the spread of the grid is here. Now it does seem that Polyphony has kind of just taken the road going versions that we've been racing on tarmac and just slapped them on dirt tyres. They are incredibly all over the place. You'll notice that some cars handle it better than others, and some will just kind of struggle, and they'll mainly struggle at actually getting through the corner itself. As you can see there, the Evo just in front, very slow and inconsistent, so just bear that in mind that you don't absolutely wipe them out. Now in terms of the leader, once again they do have a pretty large gap to the rest of the field, but you should be able to get this done and dusted no problem at all. Honestly, the field itself, there's not many AI, and to be honest, 4 laps is quite a fair amount to actually get them all chased down. As you can see, in the end, I pulled out a 25.7 second gap. And once again, I just think that's down to how Polyphony have sort of tuned the cars and transferred them from the tarmac to the dirt. As you can see, a 5 minute 53.166, a fastest lap of a 125.420 on the final lap. Now, of course, I did clatter one of the barriers, so I didn't get the clean race bonus here. So 72k for that first place. Of course, a little bit extra if you do get that clean race bonus. So in terms of Colorado Springs, it's certainly an easy event, and the AI are incredibly inconsistent once again on the dirt. Really, all you need to do here is just ensure that you've got some decent upgrades on, a decent suspension tune, and of course you can actually drive on the dirt itself. Overall, this is a fairly easy event that shouldn't give people too much of a problem whatsoever. So there we go, that is all 3 events done and dusted for the Evolution Meeting menu book. Of course, for the completion, we're awarded with a 4-star roulette ticket award, which is definitely a pretty poor award overall. So we're going to open it up. Of course, this is the one that we got awarded for completion and not the daily driving marathon. I'm not going to bother with that one in this video. Now, in terms of the rewards, you can get some fairly decent stuff, but it's a very low amount that you'll actually be able to get those decent rewards. As you can see, I'm awarded with a measly 10,000 credits. So there we go, that is the Evolution Meeting menu book number 51 done and dusted. Massive thank you to all of my channel members, and a massive thank you to you guys watching at home. Let me know what you think of update 1.52 so far. I definitely think it is a much deeper and better update than I originally expected, but who knows, maybe you guys think different. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Take care guys, peace.